Good evening, my name is Emil Harklerud and this is my discussion post for communications management. So first, what is communications management? It is used by the project manager to ensure that accurate information regarding the project is relayed to team members, and it goes beyond gathering status reports from project team members, as it also serves as an important component to stakeholder and expectations management. So the following variables should be considered when communicating with project team members. First, know who your audience is, determine the level of information that they need. Next, specify the frequency of project communication going out to team members and to the stakeholders. Assign responsibilities by determining who is responsible for communicating the information. Determine the authority to release communication. And the last step is to periodically revisit and assess the communication management plan through performing a holistic approach by first assessing communication within the project team. Next is the exchange of information from the project team to the organization across the industry and external stakeholders, such as community, consumers, and government. And third is the sharing of information between project teams, such as those who have accomplished similar tasks before. Now let's go over how to run a team meeting. So first we should be using the PCFW method, which stands for first P, prepare, have an agenda prepared, have a main purpose, and know who you are, who know who your audience is. Make sure that you have the necessary equipment and materials to facilitate the meetings, such as graphs, charts, computers, and screens. Next, C is for communicate. Publish the agenda of the meeting prior to the meeting to prepare your audience on the subject of the meeting. Be mindful of people's schedules by giving advance notice of the meeting, and as much as possible, avoid last-minute meetings. F stands for facilitate, which means to stay on topic, keep the meeting on track and on time. Also, make sure that you have everyone's attention throughout the meeting. And W stands for wrap it up, keeping the meeting in short, wrap up with action items, and let team members know what are the next steps that need to be taken, set expectations, etc. Next, let's go over communication blockers. Communication blockers such as noisy surroundings, distance, improper encoding of messages, negative statements, hostility, language barriers, and cultural differences are examples of communication blockers. And they can lead to non-optimal project outcomes as it halts the flow of information that are pertinent to the project. And the best methods to communicate are to first acknowledge that the receiver and not the sender determines the communication. We must also accept and understand that cultural and behavioral differences may exist among team members. And as far as a method to effectively communicate, we can also create a communication management plan by asking the team and stakeholders first what needs to be communicated to them, identify what matters the stakeholders need to communicate to the project team, the frequency and timelines of communication, which communication mediums they prefer or are appropriate to use, and the persons who are responsible for sending and receiving communication. As for discussing issues within the team, an issue log can be used to document, discuss, and resolve issues within the project team. It captures the areas of confusion, disagreements, conflict, and concerns that require resolution. It also identifies the costs, impact, and corrective actions that are needed to address the issue, and also having an early warning mechanism in place which obligates each party to give early warning of any problem to each other can also be used to ensure that issues are identified and resolved in a timely manner. And this could be inputted into the contracts. Next, let's go over praising and disciplining team members. Before we praise and discipline, first we must develop and communicate a SMART goal and expectations to the team, and use these as the benchmarks for team performance assessments. And in order to praise, first we need to get to know what our team members value. Is it time off? Could it be monetary methods? Or do they prefer public recognition, personal notes of recognition, or do they prefer to receive tokens such as plaques, certificates, or physical awards? And also, some tips to keep in mind when praising is to recognize in public and to praise in private. Also, in order to praise, you can also listen attentively to the team members' ideas, suggestions, and implement them whenever practical and possible as a way to empower them. As for the best methods to discipline, first we need to explain the following to the team members. First, the manager's responsibility for taking the disciplinary action. What are the motives of taking the disciplinary action? And lastly, the unsatisfactory nature of the incident. Make sure that we explain all those three to the member that is being disciplined. And as far as providing discipline, make sure that you're providing fair, factual, and timely disciplinary feedback. And we need to apply progressive discipline in the following order for identical offenses. First, we must issue a verbal warning or an informal warning. Next would be to issue a written and more formal warning, and this will be included in the member's personnel file. And the next step would be to suspend the member without pay. And as a last resort will be dismissal and termination. And that will be my discussion for this week. Thank you for listening.